Hi guys, Brent here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I wanted to make the case for Reassurance because lately in my own streams and going to other people's streams, I've been seeing a lot of people kind of dogging on Reassurance because usually, conversations come up of like, what new meta perks were introduced, what new meta perks come along, and a lot of people are like, well, Reassurance sucked. Reassurance was bad. Everybody was scared of Reassurance, and it didn't turn out actually being any good, so now nobody runs it because it actually didn't end up being that good of a perk. And that's a take that I don't really agree with. Now, I do get where people are coming from with it, and we'll explain that too, but I don't actually think Reassurance is even slightly bad. Matter of fact, I think it's a really, really good perk, and I'm going to explain why and why people seem to think it's bad. And it's something that you're probably actually familiar with, so let's go ahead and get started. A lot of the reason that I see people saying it's bad is a lot of people brought it in, obviously, when, the Project W dropped with good old Wesker and Rebecca and Ada. They dropped all that in, and a lot of people ran that perk, and they said a lot that they didn't get value. If you don't remember, in the PTB, a lot of people thought that Reassurance was going to be like a new meta perk. It was gonna kill the whole art of camping in the game, period. Which is a very, very big accusation, I will say. Because there's something so corely involved with the game's gameplay cycle to say that that's just gonna go away because of one perk. But people were saying that they just brought into matches and they never got value out of it. And it didn't do a whole lot for them. So they just kind of over time, they stopped bringing Reassurance because, it just wasn't doing a whole lot for them. They felt like it was kind of just a dead perk slot. So they eventually, started, slapping on other stuff like, Hyper Focus or put Prove back on or, Lithe, Dead Hard Sprint Burst, kind of went back to the tried and true. If this isn't getting as much value as I hope it would, I'm just going to put something else better in its place, which this is an aside, but I feel like that's a huge problem with DBD's balance is that a lot of the perks actually aren't too terrible. A lot of perks are actually not that bad. It's just that the really, really good perks are just so good that it makes it completely de-incentivized to run other perks. The good perks, the good perks are S tier. So why would you run something in the B tier, even though the things in the B tier aren't even that bad? The B tier perks will get you value, just not as much as obviously an S tier perk. But yeah, that's a different conversation. And I'm pretty sure I've made that video before. So yeah, that's a different conversation though. But yeah, I want to bring your guys' attention to another perk that's very, very familiar for you that kind of puts this whole thing in perspective. Because like I said, the main case against Reassurance is that people were bringing it into matches and not actually being able to use it. Therefore, they were getting upset because it was, essentially resulting in a dead perk slot for them, and it was making them really, really upset. So I want to bring your attention around to another perk whose strength has never been disputed. It's always been a very, very strong perk in the game that everybody always respected and used to be even stronger because of its comboing with other strong meta perks, that despite the fact that it's, only occasionally used, is one of the strongest perks in the game for Survivor. I'm talking about good old Unbreakable. Unbreakable, if you've somehow made it this far in DBD and don't know what that is and you're watching a DBD commentary video, what are you doing with your life? Anyways, Unbreakable is a perk that allows you to literally pick yourself up off the ground after you've been slugged. So after you've been down, if the killer doesn't pick you up right away, you can eventually just stand right back up on your own. You don't need any teammates to do that like it's the usual. You can just stand back up on your own, which is incredibly strong because like I said, usually you need a teammate to help pick you up, which if you're not in communications, if you're not in a stack, they may not care. The randoms may do whatever they want and you may be left on the floor. But with Unbreakable, you get to just ignore essentially a down. You get to essentially ignore a down that the killer delivered to you, and ignoring a down in a game like Dead by Daylight is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. You just look at that down state and you just go, no. And in a sense, it's even stronger than that, because if somebody's downed you and they've chosen to slug you, to leave you on the ground, they're entering a chase with someone else, which is incredibly strong for the killer. So they're applying so much pressure to the team by leaving you on the ground because somebody needs to come heal you, and then they're likely in chase with someone else. So they're occupying 3 people on the team's time by just making that one slugging decision, right? And by just getting up, by just deciding that you're just going to stand right back up, you basically undo one of the 3 pressures that they just applied to the team, you know, which is incredibly strong and has always been regarded as one of the stronger perks in the game. It's always been put in S or A tier when I see most tier lists of people talking about like strong survivor perks. It has always been well regarded as one of the strongest perks in the game. Now, let's bring this back around to Reassurance, because the main argument that people make against Reassurance is that you don't get value every game. And that's a thing that happens with Unbreakable, which is highly regarded as, like I said, S or A tier by most people that, you know, rank survivor perks. And that is a perk that you barely get value out of, because sometimes killers just don't slug. Sometimes they just don't do that. Whether that be out of fear, they just, you know, don't know how to do it correctly, or maybe the game's just going well, so they just want to go for hooks. Like, there's plenty of reasons that killers won't slug. And you know, I'd say I get slugged in my survivor matches only like 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 matches. And that's not a whole lot. Like, I don't run Unbreakable because I'm worried that I won't get value. Like, I totally understand that mindset, but I also understand that, like, in that situation where I would be able to pick myself up, I could undo that 1 in 4 times that I actually get slugged and have a really dynamic effect on the match. And that same thing goes for Reassurance. Reassurance is the same way. Reassurance, even if nobody camps in your match or you're not in a position to really use it, that one time you actually get somebody camping on hook, getting somebody, you know, standing right there or trying to proxy, you can run in, hit that button, and you bought your team a whole lot of extra time. Extra time for people to get in position for the save, extra time to get, say, a last gen done or something like that. Like, there's so many good utilities for Reassurance, and it just provides so much benefit to your team to counter a camping situation. Like I said, just like with Unbreakable, sometimes the killers don't camp. Sometimes they don't need to. Sometimes they just do it poorly. They're not always going to be in a situation where camping happens. In my games, when I play Survivor, somebody gets camped or proxy camped probably about the same, I would say. Probably about 1 in 4 games. Sometimes, maybe it's 1 in 3. Because even if it's not me, usually somebody at least gets proxied. But it might be 1 in 3. But, you know, that's still not a majority, right? That's still not a majority of your games. But if you brought in Reassurance, you can kind of just, like, deflate that whole situation, or at least make it very time cost inefficient for the killer to do. And that gets you a ton of value. I watch people who actually do bring Assurance on their streams literally buy an extra gen just by going and reassuring the person, just by denying them the time, by buying more time to sit on gens while they go and buying time to go, like, do gens a little bit more before they actually have to go get the save. And I feel like this idea that just because that both these perks are occasional in their ability to enact their effect does not make their effect weak, right? Just because the effect isn't applied frequently does not mean the effect isn't really strong. So I feel like if you guys respect Unbreakable and you know Unbreakable strong, you ergo cannot call Reassurance weak, because it's literally the same thing except for camping. So yeah, that's what I think about Reassurance. Do you guys think it's a good perk, or do you think it's a bad perk? Let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, this will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending time with me. But I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I don't see you there, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.